Yo, bro Mando, welcome back to Action Ration. Alright, so a lot of you have been asking me lately like, hey Thompsonator, why don't you review more older movies on your channel? And the truth is, I've always wanted to. I was just looking for a good time to do so. And the week where I could have reviewed The Fate of the Furious just seemed like a really good time for some reason, so today I'll be reviewing Where Eagles Dare, starring Richard Burton and Clint Eastwood. It's a lot like the other movies I review on my channel, except I actually like it. Look, you want to make a good Men on a Mission movie? Well, for starters, you could forget about your 30-minute Oktoberfests, or the inevitable snooze ride that was Squad G for Geriatrics steals back Hitler's Kincaid catalog. No, bro. You gotta venture back decades to a time where the actual guys crafting these things were people who fought in the real conflicts and lived to film about it. Movies like The Dirty Dozen, The Great Escape, hell, even the first run of James Bond films starring Connery. I guess you just don't see movies like that anymore because they're just not relevant to our culture now. Bullshit. It's because the heaviest thing weighing on the souls of modern filmmakers is the guilt they feel for stiffing their barista that morning. You try humping it through a jungle full of human guts, then coming home to make fiction for a living, your perspective might be altered to, say the least. But I digress, right? I mean, this is supposed to be a happy review after all, and I'm not about to ask God for World War III just so he can make war movies kick ass again. I mean, I think the request remains granted as long as we have Mel Gibson. Where Eagles Dare begins the same way a lot of these movies do, by introducing us to a team of ultimate badasses and laying out a mission that half of them won't survive. An American general has been shot down in World War II and is being held by the Germans in the impenetrable mountain fortress called the Schloss Adler, or the Castle of Eagles. You can look it up on Google, it's pretty impressive. Apparently it can only be accessed by cable car, and it was easily the inspiration for a video game series known as Wolfenstein that followed a few decades later. Richard Burton plays Major Smith, the leader of a British commando team sent in to get the general and get out before he can betray the plans for D-Day to the SS. Some of the men on his team are skeptical, and rightly so, because no sooner do they parachute into the Alps by night than a few of their team members suddenly get murdered. Seriously, this movie will have you guessing who's the actual good guy until about halfway through, when it finally gets revealed who the true double agents are or why they're even on the mission in the first place. The screenplay was written by Alistair MacLeod, who also wrote the novel, which is pretty rare for movies, and to be honest, Where Eagles Dare at 2.5 hours long kind of feels like a novel, but unlike some superhero movies which will remain nameless, which dedicate the last hour to CGI'd stunt doubles trying to kill each other while they destroy an entire city in the process, everything in Where Eagles Dare has a payoff. Everything you see about the castle to the characters' actions, almost like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. That is, if the puzzle was made out of sticks of dynamite. Look, I'm not going to tell you to go watch this movie just because it's old school and has an intricate plot. Richard Burton also starred in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, and if you want a Macho Me to review of that, well, you're going to get a 2-hour video of me foaming at the mouth whilst dying of self-induced boredom. Yeah, at an epic 158 minutes, Where Eagles Dare is a little overwritten, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't occasionally checking what the remainder of the runtime to go after the big reveal of who's who, and was shocked to see that there was still an hour left.
Drop that gun and sit down.
But fortunately, it's a very action-packed hour, and considering this movie was made in the late 60s, a lot of the special effects still hold up today. Some of the Schloss Adler was filmed as a model, which I didn't even realize until later when I was watching the special features, and most of the other special effects are actual explosions and squibs blowing holes in walls and Germans that look real enough because, well, they are. There is one shot where a guy falls to his death from a cable car that comes with a side extra of cheese, but that's really the one obvious offender. You may also notice that almost every exterior shot was filmed with a day for night filter, meaning they look incredibly blue. And it would almost pass for night except for all the harsh shadows that keep showing on the ground, giving away that they're clearly shot during daylight, hence the name of the filter. But personally, I like this. I kind of like the imperfections you sometimes find in older movies. They make them that more endearing to me, but that's just me. However, I've purposely saved the best part of this review for last, and no, I'm not talking about the fact that how this movie was immortalized into an Iron Maiden song called Where Eagles Dare, which, if that's somehow a turnoff for you, may I direct you to the unsubscribe button below. But no, instead, let me turn your attention to one Clint Eastwood. At this point, Eastwood was basically just a cowboy actor who starred in westerns, and he even admitted he felt a little out of place being in a war film filled with a bunch of Brits, but someone in casting earned their paycheck because his role as Lieutenant Schaefer is about as OG as hunting T-Rex with a harpoon and tow cable. Towards the end of the movie, the group gets pinned down in a radio room, and while Smith is trying to reach London to call for evac before the Germans can cut the line, Schaefer single-handedly holds them off. And if you ever thought the image of Clint Eastwood dual-wielding machine guns and lobbing back live grenades in World War II would be one of the most badass things ever, well, you were right. There is something really funny about this scene, though. Like, I feel like I've seen it before. It's vaguely familiar. Let's see. A rescue attempt from an impenetrable fortress gone awry, a desperate gunfight against fascists in a dead-end hallway, and a boring conversation via radio that gets cut off. Nah. And with all that being said, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give Where Eagles Dare a 10,000 Full Metal Jackets worth of skull-caving badassery on the Macho meter. Please, me, the Thompsonator, review this movie? Psh, blasphemy. To find someone worthy, you'd actually have to resurrect George Patton and attach what's left of his torso to a tank dripping with blood and somehow convince him to become a film critic, but I just happen to be the best man for the job this week. Speaking of this current 7-day period of time, there's honestly still really nothing in the theaters I feel like weighing in on the Macho meter right now. I don't know. You all tell me what you think of Free Fire. Maybe I'll do a review of that in the future if you think it's good. Maybe I won't. I actually instead kind of feel like reviewing another old war film. You know, old war movies were my favorites growing up as a kid, which probably explains a lot. I think I should conclude this review by mentioning the fact that this movie was shot on location in the Alpine village of Werfen, which had actually been under Nazi control less than 25 years when it was made. In fact, even one of the actresses in the movie, her family survived the concentration camps when she was just a little girl, and she went on to star in this. And even though that's horrible, I think it adds a layer of authenticity that you're not going to really find in too many other places. By the way, did I mention that the crew almost froze to death while making this thing? Yeah, according to the special features, the craft services team quit about halfway through, so there they were out there on the frozen wastes, and in order to, stop from all starving to death, they were forced to eat one of the production assistants. Anyways, thanks for watching, Bromandos. I'm Thompsonator. You can subscribe for more bad opinions, and I'll see you all again real soon for something action.